Thank you for joining us this morning to discuss the self-directed support model for I'm just losing myself. I apologize because I feel like I can't see. But I want to thank you for being here, and I'm excited to be here and introduce all of these ladies and mamas who are self-directed. I myself am Summer Jacob, and I also am a mom. And I have a 22-year-old and I have a 4-year-old who has Down syndrome, and I am self-directed as well. So I'm just going to go down the line and introduce you ladies. I think I probably should have mic'd on the other side. All right, Toby lives in Mandan. She has used both self-directed and agency providers for her daughter Adeline since 2017. And she's completed the Parent Leadership Institute with Family Voices of North Dakota and Patient Advocacy Masterclass from Patients Rising. And she's involved in several advocacy efforts and education on the state and federal levels, including the Paid Caregiver Program that was signed into law in 2023 at the legislative session. That was a big win. Thank you for that. Toby is the co-founder also of Adeline's Believers, which is a nonprofit with the goal of furthering research for Adeline's rare disease, supporting children and families in the community with out-of-pocket costs for therapy and adaptive equipment, and supporting families on the pediatric floors of local hospitals. Toby's advice to those who are supporting someone with a disability is to focus on inch stones. Milestones are the result of a lot of hard work, tears, time, and many, many inch stones. Don't wait to celebrate, she says. Next, we have Dee Daniels Newstel. Say it right? Sorry, I was only calling her Dee Daniels earlier today. She was born and raised on a farm in Elgin and is the youngest of 6 children. After high school, she moved to New York to become a nanny and eventually started working in a corporate office environment. After 3 years, she moved to Bismarck to be closer to family and started a radio career. So many of you probably know her from that. Dee was on air and a program director in Bismarck for over 28 years. She met her husband, Greg, and is the mother of 2 children, Grant, who is 12 and was diagnosed with severe autism, and around 3, and he is completely nonverbal. And Grace is 10 and is a beautiful, spunky 5th grader. Dee and her husband have been in the coffee bean business and roast Grant's Grinds coffee. After being on several nonprofit boards, Dee and her husband decided to found the nonprofit Grant's Grind Foundation and give back to the local community. Dee enjoys spending time with her friends, family, doing sports, and outdoors. And Carrie is an energy markets and settlements manager at Rainbow Energy Marketing Corporation, multi-business entrepreneur, and certified ULA life coach. Carrie was blessed with 2 daughters, Lakin and Libby, and before the age of 1, Libby was diagnosed with
schizencephaly.
I told her I was going to mess that up. That is when Carrie added to her title, advocate, on her resume. She's been utilizing the respite program for 6 years and is self-directed for 5, and carries on a mission to touch the world and share her knowledge, love, compassion, and desire to help others. Did I miss anything, ladies? No? Okay. So we had several questions that we wanted to answer for you today, but I want to start out with the simplest of one is, do you have to choose between self-directed and agency models, or can you mix them?
Okay, well, I have used both agency and self-directed, and the answer to that question is that you have to choose one or the other. You cannot mix. So you either have to use an agency for all of your respite hours, or you have to use self-directed. It's not possible to mix them.
And is that an easy switch, or how does one start or end from one to the other?
You know, your biggest resource for that is talking to your child's DDPM, just letting them know that you would like to transition away from an agency and start self-directed. It probably takes 2 weeks to a month before everything is all done paperwork-wise and things like that. And we're not going to talk about agency stuff a lot, but like when we were using an agency, I always just made sure I was in contact with the agency for anything regarding Adeline's care. And so when we decided to transition, I made sure to keep them in the loop as soon as possible as well, because those staff who were working with her need to be transitioned to another child and start that process. So just keeping the lines of communication open with the agency as well as you're going through that transition process is important.
Thank you. So has anyone else made the switch?
I also started out with an agency, and it was just hard to find staffing through the agency that was qualified to work with Libby, so we did switch then to self-directed.
Okay. I know go ahead, Dee.
I was going to say, I have no reference on that. I always did self-directed. Just it seemed like the best fit for our family. So I can understand it's challenging either way to find staff, but yeah.
That I did the same. I just started out self-directed. But that is another question that people often ask is, where do I find staff? So
I've been very fortunate. We've had great staff. I have actually taken a lot of time and gone out to the college and had other resources through some of the different programs out at the University of Mary, the occupational therapy program out there, any speech therapists up and coming. You know, I kind of go for the younger crowd that have the desire to be and work in the field, and also family.
Unfortunately, with our family situation, obviously we have family, but we don't have family that we feel is capable. Grant's going to be 13. He's bigger than me. He's not bowel and bladder trained, so there's a lot of stuff involved in that. So we started out as well. We actually had babysitters before he was diagnosed. Then we would transition. He was first on the autism waiver. We got them on self-directed there. But then as we moved to the DD waiver, we got more hours, and we went from babysitters, say, hey, do you have a friend, obviously, that can do it? And then we went to, I think I first emailed some of the directors out of UMary as well, head of OT programs, and then you get that really good staff that sticks around for a couple of years, and then you go, hey, I know you're graduating. Do you have any underclassmen that you think would be a good fit? So we did that. I do think that at a certain point it got to be challenging because you were rotating every couple years. So one thing I've been doing lately is some of his aides at his schools who want a secondary part-time job, who are a little bit older in their 20s and 30s, that we'll get them on the staff as well. And so they've been really beneficial in helping out when those situations, even like the overnight stays, because typically it's hard for some of the younger folks to be able to stay those longer periods, the overnight, because my son does not sleep well. He's up at 2 a.m. walking the halls, you know. So we've really done that, just word of mouth. In fact, my son went to camp this summer at Hillside through Parks and Rec, and one of the gals that worked with him, walking by, I go, hey, do you want to do respite for me this fall? She goes, yeah, here's my email. So I sent her the paperwork, and I'm in the process of getting enrolled right now. So, I mean, I think you just I kind of observe the people and how they relate to my son. And that's the same thing when you bring him to your house to interview him, see how they relate to him and how he relates to them as well. Because obviously not everybody is going to be a good fit for your household as well. I mean, and I have a younger child there. She's self-sufficient, but I mean, she's also in the house with him. So you got to make sure that it's a good fit for the entire family.
I just want to touch on that too a little bit. Definitely in the interview process, making sure that they're comfortable with the surroundings, because yes, exactly, you're letting them into your family. They're exposed to your everyday life, not only with your child they're helping with, but just you. So you definitely want to make sure that they're a good fit for the entire family too.
And other ways that I've heard of people finding staff are just, going on Facebook and writing up a description, having people share it, and then if somebody recommends somebody, you can always kind of get the background information from the person who referred you to them. And right now, we're only using family for Adeline too, so that's another resource. But again, that comes with you got to make sure you pick one that everybody's going to be okay with the responsibilities and you kind of have to be a little bit different. Like my mom is one of my staff, and it's a little bit different relationship when she is on appointments and helping me take care of Adeline than when we're just hanging out and going out for lunch or something. So it's a little bit of a learning process on both parts, but as long as you keep that line of communication open, it goes pretty well. Other staff is her big brother, and he's just kind of more my second set of hands because we have that option with self-directed, and comes, doesn't do any of the personal care things, just hangs out with her when I'm trying to do stuff, or, he comes and helps me clean up the mess we make every day. So it works out good.
I know there are Facebook groups too. There's a Facebook respite support group.
I started that one. Well, Respite Connect.
Thank you for
which
that.
unfortunately started off, I think 7 years ago, I opened it up, but unfortunately on there's a lot of parents or caregivers versus the respite people on there. So I try to nudge, the respite folks once in a while to say, hey, I have this availability, but I mean, they're out there. It's just, everyone's so busy nowadays. So I know we were just talking before. I'm interviewing someone this evening again. I have 4 to 5 respite on my roster right now, and I just rotate them in and out throughout the month. I work around their schedules, which I think they appreciate as well. Instead of just demanding, I need you here at this time, I work around, they give me their schedule for the month, if whether you're a college student or a parent with other kids at home, and then it seems to work. Like I said, my husband and I are going on vacation next weekend for 3 days, and it's respite the entire time that we're gone. So always cross our fingers no one gets sick.
Similarly, I have, I think, 4 or 5 as well on my staff. And as far as I know, I don't believe there's a limit to how many you can have. I know that was a misconception or maybe a theory somebody had that I had read out there.
It is a misconception, because I've actually asked that before when I've met with my case manager, and she said, no, you can have as many as you want.